Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Truth About Prosperity Global Online Conference. I am Andy Anderson, and I am so excited to have you with us for this life-changing event. And in today's session, we're going to learn some secrets. We are going to learn some secrets to attracting money. And the expert with us today that's going to share all of this with us is the best-selling author, self-made multimillionaire, and co-star of the movie The Secret, none other than Dr. Joe Vitale. Hey, Joe.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm good. How are you doing over there, Joe?
Hey, I'm doing great. I got a new book out. I got new music out, and I'm doing an event with you.
Hey,
it's fantastic.
What could be better? Absolutely. Well, thank you, Joe, so much for being here with us today. And I love it when I get to spend time with you, whether we're in person or it's over the internet or Zoom or Skype or whatever it is. There's so many great ways to communicate these days, and you are such an amazing leader, an amazing soul, and an inspiration to me. So thanks so much for being here with us.
Of course. Glad to be here.
Was that?
Glad to be here. You're doing some great stuff.
Glad to have you here. So I want to tell everybody a little bit about you. Now, first of all, I can't imagine anyone doesn't know all about you, but I'm still going to tell everybody about you.
Okay.
So not only are you one of the stars of the Truth About Prosperity free film series, which is the film series out of which this conference actually evolved, you are featured in, I would say, just almost every single Avaya film ever created. And, I just can't get enough of you.
Oh.
And you are also the best-selling author of many, many books. Your most recent, The Miracles, 6 Steps to Enlightenment, The Awakened Millionaires, Zero Limits, which is one of my personal favorites. And man, one of your most recent awesome accomplishments is that you're the world's first self-help singer-songwriter. And is it 15 albums you have out to date, or is that now 16?
It is now 16 because one is going into production right now as we are conversing.
That is awesome. So, Joe, could you talk a little bit about a secret law that is not often discussed, right? And when we combine this secret law with the law of attraction, this can allow greater and greater levels of prosperity to come into our lives. So can you tell us what this secret law is?
I'm going to do better than that. I'm going to tell you 6.
Woo!
6 secret laws, and I actually wrote them down so that I didn't forget them.
Nice.
Because these are laws that I refer to and I talk to people about, but I don't know that many people know any of them, let alone all of them. So I'm going to go through them real quick, and we can talk about them if you like.
The
very first one is money like speed. Money like speed. Let that one sink in. Giving leads to receiving. Giving leads to receiving. Seems counterintuitive. Money, this is good. Money has no beliefs about you. Ooh, I get chills on that one. Money has no beliefs about you. Passion leads to profit. Passion leads to profit. How about that one?
I like that, yeah.
Helping others helps you. Helping others helps you. Then I wrote a bonus. Problems are potential products. Problems are potential products. So you can see these 6 principles are a mix of kind of the metaphysical and the psychological and the down-to-earth practical. But every one of them is worth gold to anybody trying to increase their prosperity or actually have abundance in their lives. Was there one or more that you were wanting?
I want all of them. I guess let's start with money like speed, because that, right? Who doesn't want to know how to, decrease the amount of time it takes to actually create this financial freedom in their lives? So yes.
Yeah, money like speed is one of the most repeated quotes that I've ever given. People tweet it, people put it out there on Facebook, people tell it to each other, but I don't know how many actually practice it. So this is the explanation why I've written something like 50 books, and I've got, as you mentioned, 16 music albums out there. I know that money likes speed. Now, what does that mean? When most people receive an idea, they dismiss it. They go, oh, I have a cool idea for a product, a cool idea for a service. But then they say, oh, I don't have the money, I don't have the experience, I don't have the education, I don't have time, and I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm too whatever. And they don't do it. They may write down their idea thinking, oh, I'll get to it later. But what happens is that later never gets here, or, as some people have pointed out, you have an idea for a product or service, you don't act on it, And then 6 months later, you walk into a store and your product or your service is on the shelf because somebody else took the idea and acted on it. So the rule of thumb is money likes speed, which means when you have an idea for a product or service, you need to act on it. Even when you don't have all of the answers, there's too many stories of people out there, too many case studies of people who had no experience whatsoever. And yet they went on because they had an idea and started knocking on doors, making phone calls, getting on Google, getting on the internet, looking for their resources, and just kind of fumbling along until they created whatever it is that was given to them. And I think it's important to realize that it was given to you. Ideas that come to us are gifts. This is one of the reasons that I've learned to worship them, because I didn't pay for the idea. I didn't ask for the idea. I was just kind of minding my own business. And the universe or the divine or the great something, as I now like to call it, the great something descended and gave me this idea in my head. And I've learned to say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, and proceed to turn it into a new book, a new business, a new audio program, whatever it happens to be. So the universe likes speed, money likes speed, and we all need to start honoring the gifts that are being given to us. We want to start being more open to them. We want to start receiving them, acknowledging them, and then acting on them.
Yeah. Hey, that's so key. I mean, you bring up a really good point, right? It's the action piece is so important. And I think there is some disconnect in, when people are talking around, pushing past their beliefs around, making money, and then, how does it actually manifest into their lives? So how do people find a balance between, right, working on the inner world, right, the inner belief work that we're constantly, needing to practice in order to, push through to the next level, but at the same time, balancing that with taking inspired actions? How do we balance the two of those?
Well, it's real easy.
Good, thank goodness.
It's real easy. We have to do the inner work first. That's what's first. So when it comes to balance, I don't want people to run out there and start advertising or doing publicity or opening up their business or any of that stuff until they've aligned themselves internally with money being okay in their lives, their sense of deservingness for good things in their lives, their sense of optimism, their faith in themselves and in other people. That all needs to be aligned first. As you know, I started as a marketer and as a copywriter, as a business entrepreneur, but I didn't do all that well in it until I started studying metaphysics, spirituality, and the psychology of success and realigned the inside of me. And so I also learned by extension that I can tell people how to do things that will make money for them. But if they're not ready to receive money, they're not okay with money, they're not okay with success, they're not okay with themselves, they will abort everything I tell them. They will self-sabotage it. They will innocently do it. They won't do it on purpose, but their unconscious mind isn't in alignment with what they say they want. So this is why the most important work to me is the internal work. We have to do that first. When we have that cleaned up, then the actions you take on the outside are bound to be more fulfilling and more accelerated in getting you the results that you want. So this is why one of the principles I wrote down is that money has no beliefs about you. Most people are thinking there's not enough money out there, money is evil, there's a shortage of everything. Those are all beliefs. They're not necessarily facts at all. When we realize that money is neutral, that money has no emotion on it, we're the ones projecting it on there. And we get to the point where we realize money's a tool. That's it. It's an unemotional, energized tool that you can use for good. You can use for your good and the good of other people. So you have to do the inner work first. Clean up your beliefs about money, clean up your beliefs about yourself, then you can take the outer actions and they will more likely work at that point. So that's how you find the balance. Do the inside first.
Yeah, oh, that's so key. Thank you for sharing that and reminding everyone of that, because I think a lot of us can get wrapped up into the to-do list and the constant, okay, here's the things I've got to get done today. And it's easy to fall into a space of forgetting or non-awareness or not paying attention to what's going on inside. And man, we certainly can do a lot of work and check off a lot of things on that list, but they're not giving us the results we want unless we're aligned first. So
and the flip side of that are the people who don't want to take any action, who these are the law of attraction crowd, who think that I just have to sit there and visualize it and the doorbell will ring and then it'll be my car, my spouse, my bike, whatever it happens to be. And that's possible. I believe in magic and miracles, and the doorbell can ring and you can have the love of your life there. I mean, magic happens all the time. Miracles happen all the time. We live in that kind of a universe. However, I also know that life is a co-creation. You have to do your part while the universe and everybody else in it does their part to make each other's dreams come true. And then I like to point out that the phrase law of attraction has the word action in it. There's a hint right in the phrase attraction that you're supposed to do something. So what I want people to do is the inner work first. Take care of your beliefs about yourself and money, and then start taking action with the baby steps. That's another thing that people do. They get overwhelmed and then they procrastinate because they think, oh, I can't open this bakery and have 100 different offices, stores all over the world. It's just too big. Yeah, of course it's too big. You want to start with the most simple baby step you can think of. That's what you do first. That's the very first action step. And it might be going to the bank and opening up an account in your business name. It might be opening up a website. It might be going to a seminar where they talk about business or investment or marketing. But you take whatever the first baby obvious step is. After you take that step, the next step will become apparent. Take that step, the next step will become apparent. You don't need to know the whole 5-year game plan. That'll stop you. That'll cause you to procrastinate. So we do want this balance of taking action, but not being overwhelmed. We take the baby steps each day. We have that to-do list. But even before all of that, you realize money is neutral. Money can help you fulfill your dreams. You're worth great things. You are lovable. You are likable, and so forth.
And all those things, lovable, likable, awesome,
Yes,
confident, whatever it is. Yeah, so I know you talk a lot about like spiritual insights and how those tie into people being able to, figure out what's blocking them from prosperity. Can you speak a little bit to that? Like what are some spiritual insights?
Well, I mentioned with my little 6-pointer there that giving leads to receiving, and that's a very spiritually oriented one, because too many people, and I've been there too. I mean, you know my story. I was homeless. I was in poverty. I thought it was me against the world. Very much like if I got anything in my life, I needed to hold on to it because I was afraid I would lose it. I was afraid there wouldn't be any more. So I know what it's like. I can feel for the people who still come from that mentality, but that mentality doesn't work. That mentality barely helps you survive. What you want to do is move into prosperity. You want to move into abundance, and that's more about the thinking up here. And the more you can expand your thinking into one of abundance and caring for other people as well as you care for yourself, the more you move into the esoteric flow of life. And then life can take care of you because now you're not blocking it. Now you're not being independent from it. So one of the ways to step into this stream of a benevolent universe is to start giving. Now, I know everybody's heard about tithing. Everybody's heard you need to give 10% to some place that has nurtured you. And everybody thinks it's a scam. Everybody thinks that's coming from the church or the priest or the minister or somebody like that. I heard it too. And that's what I thought too. And then I thought, you know what? I'm broke. I'm homeless. I'm in poverty. I better try this.
Right.
So I started reluctantly giving pennies on the dollar, because if I had $1, that was life and death to me at that time. But I would start giving it away reluctantly at first, even skeptically at first. But then I would notice some money would start coming to me almost magically and unexpectedly. I would get an offer to do something, or I would get work when I was still doing the labor kind of work. And I started to realize something is happening that I can't consciously explain. So I started expanding it even more. I even wrote a little book at one point called The Greatest Money-Making Secret in History. And I love the title, but the essence is the greatest money-making secret in history is give away money. Give away money. Now, there's a couple stipulations to this. I don't say blindly give to whoever asks for it. I say look within yourself, and wherever you receive spiritual nourishment, wherever you were inspired, And that could be a bus driver. That could be an Uber driver. That could be a hostess at a restaurant. That could be anybody. But you want to stop, take a breath, and reflect. Who in the last week has inspired me? Who has nurtured my soul? Who has motivated me? Who or what has actually caused me to stay in touch with my spirituality? That's where you want to give money. And the rule of thumb is to give 10%. So it's not a sense of obligation. You're not giving to a particular organization. You're giving to what you're inwardly directed to do. And you're doing it with love. You're doing it with a sense of generosity. And you do it without expectation of it coming to you from the place you gave it. You can expect it to come tenfold from someplace out of the universe and the wide range of possibilities that are out here, but don't expect it to come from the same person you gave it to. That's not how this works. So there's a couple things going on. One of them is this: giving is a spiritual principle. The world is already giving to us. It's giving to us in such an abundance that most of us are blind to it and unconscious to it. I mean, even right now, I'm getting air. Free.
Right.
Gravity is keeping me from floating out of the visual frame here. It's keeping me in my chair. And then my body. I'm not telling my heart to pump or my brain to work or my muscles to do whatever it's doing here. It's doing it without me paying it, without me telling it. And the universe in itself is supporting me in all of this. Most of us don't think of this at all. We're given so much that it's just banked in the favor of us. And what we want to start doing is returning. So from a spiritual standpoint, when we give, we're entering the flow of prosperity. We're entering the flow of abundance. But there's something else going on psychologically. When you don't give, you're telling yourself, I don't have enough. More money isn't coming to me. I don't believe in myself. I don't believe in the future. I don't have any faith at all. That's when you're stingy and you hold it back. But when you give, what are you saying? I have more than enough. I am taking care of other people. I am taking care of myself. I am thanking the universe. Psychologically, you are stepping into that spirit of generosity that is affirming your own wealth. This will lead for you to have more wealth. You're stepping into the law of attraction, actually, because you're giving out the very thing you want to receive. You're giving more money. The universe is going to say, thank you for supporting me and the rest of the world. We're going to send money back to you in unexpected ways. That is a spiritual principle you can take to the bank.
Literally, that is a spiritual principle. And, you know, I think you touch on some good points in that it makes me, even you just expressing it right now, makes me feel gratitude in my heart, right? It makes me feel elevated. It makes me feel amazing. And I think that's another thing to get is when we give and we're not holding on so tightly to what it is that we have, right? And we're freely giving with others. Like, this can put us into a positive state of mind. This can put us into this state of gratitude. And so how important is, right, like how we feel, right? How we feel, and how does this prosperity come to us easier when we feel happy, when we feel gratitude, excited, all those things?
I love your questions, because that's a loaded question. You know that the more you feel grateful, the more you step into gratitude, the more you've elevated your own energy, the more you feel better about yourself, the more you feel better about life, the more you're optimistic, the more you see opportunities in the world too, because your mind isn't closed off. You're feeling generous, which opens your mind here. The more you actually step into the flow of the universe's abundance by being grateful. Now, I also want to quickly say, I know people have heard this. People have heard about being grateful, but how many are actually doing it?
Right.
And my famous story, I'm sure you've heard it. You may have even filmed me saying it.
I'm sure.
Probably. But decades ago, going back to the homeless time, going back to the poverty time. And I mean, I know what the dark night of the soul is. I know what it's like to struggle and worry about paying bills and all of that. And I was reading all the self-help books and the law of attraction books and going to all the free talks and seminars. And there were reoccurring themes. And one of them was tithing, which is what we talked about there. And another one was about feeling gratitude. And I kept thinking, oh yeah, I'll feel grateful when I have something to be grateful about. And then I thought, well, I'm still stuck. I'm still broke. So maybe I need to practice this gratitude. And I remember going home, and home was a $200 a month little dive, which was just one room, and the toilet was in the same room as the television set. I mean, this is where I was living at the time. And to pay $200 took everything out of me because I never knew where it was going to come. Ugh. But I remember picking up a pencil. I'm picking up a pen right now, but it was a pencil. It was a number 2 pencil, you know, that yellow one with the lead on one, the eraser on the other. And I went, yeah, okay, I can be grateful for this pencil. And I was flippant, and I was skeptical, and I was grumpy. But I thought, I'm going to play with this idea. So I can be grateful. I can be grateful for this pencil. I can write a suicide note. I can write a grocery list. I can write some kind of sad poem. I can write, you know, all kind of crap on it. And then something opened up, and I started to go, and I can write the great American novel. I can write the greatest songs in history. I can write my autobiography. I can write love notes to people and leave them places. And I started to feel different. Every time I tell this story, I even feel different. I started to feel more alive inside. And the darkness started to leave, and there was more light coming into my brain. And then I looked at the other side, and I said, an eraser. My God, it's genius. An eraser. Who thought of this? This is the greatest invention of all time. And I've always said that opened the door to prosperity for me, because I was in the $200 a month dump. I didn't have a job. I was worried. I was broke. I was, you know, miserable. But the pencil, more importantly, the gratitude that I manufactured, beginning with skepticism, turned into a genuine reality. And as I started to feel grateful, everything in me opened up. And I've been saying it for decades. That was the moment where the window to prosperity opened for me. I started to look out that window and look at a world that previously I complained about. But look at a world and go, oh my God, look at the trees, look at the sky, look at life, look at the people. And that opened up the idea that look at the opportunities here. They're not closed off from me. I was closed off from them. This is why one of the principles is money has no beliefs about you. We're the one closing off prosperity. We've been doing it with our beliefs, with our sense of limitation and our lack of gratitude. So I love that you brought it up. It seems obvious because so many people talk about it, but I actually challenge the people watching to do it, to pick anything. It could be your coffee cup. It could be your glasses. It can be anything in the moment. It can be this series. It can be us in this moment. But begin the process of feeling grateful now. Transforms everything.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yes, I love it when you share that story. And it's actually in our film Leap. So I remember that when you shared it for that. And
right.
Who doesn't right now feel this amazing sense of gratitude and gratitude for you for being open and vulnerable to share. That's where you were. And anyone watching or listening right now, if you are in that space or you're in a space of similar to what you experienced, like, get that Joe is this great example. He's this great example of being able to pull up out of that space and look at your life now. And I think that's really important for people to understand that it's not that it's been like this forever for you, and you had to do the work to get here.
I had to do the inner work. And what I tell people, and I said this in an early book, The Attractor Factor, that whatever you're going through right now is simply current reality. That's it. It is not saying it's frozen in time and you're going to be like this until death. No, this is only current reality, and you can change current reality by what you're learning in this program. I think it's astonishing that you've gathered together 22 experts who are freely giving practical advice and inspiration and information in every one of these calls. So all people have to do is absorb them and then act on them, and they will change their current reality. And the best news of all is, back when I was doing it, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have the free classes online. We didn't know what online was. And I was alone. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have anybody that was rooting me on. There was no cheerleader. So it took me a lot longer to make that transformation. The good news for everybody watching is they can do it like that.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting the material, the secrets, the essence, the information now.
Yeah, and I think that's so key that you bring that up, because, and this is a really good reminder for everybody watching, that it's absorbing all the information that Joe's telling you right now and all the other experts are telling you, and then you apply it.
Yes.
You've got to apply it. That's so key, because there's a lot of people that can, do one thing after the next, or learn from this program, that program, and the other program, and that's great. And if you're applying that knowledge, awesome. right? But if you're just absorbing and not applying, it's going to be tricky to create the results that you want to create. So given that, you gave everybody a little tool to, actually be grateful for something in the moment, right? The coffee cup, the pencil, the water bottle, whatever. So what other like real world tangible techniques or tools could people apply right now in their life or right after this call that they can start, applying in their life to create results?
Well, there's so many different ones. We won't have time to go through them all, but I'm going to mention one of them because I mentioned it in my little 6 points at the beginning as a giveaway here. And one of them is problems are potential products. And this is an important one because this is where you start to think a little bit more like an entrepreneur. And thinking like an entrepreneur is a great way to bring prosperity into your life because entrepreneurs look out into the universe and they see ways to make money by helping other people. And usually entrepreneurs aren't locked into one way of thinking. For example, way back when I was struggling and homeless, poverty, all of that story, I thought the only way for me to make money was from my writing. That was it. So I had one road that I allowed wealth to come to me. And there were other people around me who said, oh, the world is like a big pie. And money can come to you from this angle and up this way and all kind and from above and whatever. But I couldn't see it because I was locked into there's only one way through writing. Now, of course, today I'm an entrepreneur. This is why I have so many products and I have so many businesses and I have so many things going on, all stemming from my passion. I'm not doing anything that I don't like doing or actually love doing and glad to get up in the morning to do. So you want to start thinking more like an entrepreneur, which will expand the world of possibilities for prosperity to come to you. So one practical way to do that is start listening to what people complain about. When people complain that there's a lack of a product or a lack of a service, they're just stuck in complaining, and that's the world that they're in. And as long as you complain, you stay in that lower energy vibration, and you'll attract more to complain about. But you want to turn on the inner awareness and realize, oh, that complaint, that equals profit. I need to figure out how to solve it, turn it into a product or service, and now you can make money from it. A quick, easy example is Uber. At this point in time, we all love Uber. I go places and I just tap on my phone, and there's my Uber ride 1 minute later outside the door. But the story is that the two guys who invented Uber were in another country and they were delayed in getting a cab, much like most people have gone through the experience. I remember being in Vegas, calling a cab and waiting an hour and a half in line to wait for a cab that was dirty and not that comfortable. And they thought they heard the complaint. They heard the problem. And they said, we need to create something that solves it. What if we created something that was done on the phone with an app and we had drivers who are getting employed and people who just push buttons, pay them through an automated system, and the drivers show up? They resolved it, and of course it is now a huge business and lots of people are being employed. That's only one example. But in order to think like an entrepreneur, when you hear a complaint, you actually want to hear a cash register bell go off in your head and say, wait a minute, how can I solve that? And you may not know immediately, but that's the power of the creative mind, is that you give it a problem and say, we need a solution to this complaint, to this problem that the public is stating. Come up with something. It could be a product. It could be a service. Start shaking the tree. Start Googling answers, and you'll develop something. Maybe something exists that you can sell. Maybe you need to develop it. Maybe you need to joint venture with somebody who could be the mastermind behind it. You could help market it. There's all different kind of ways to do it. But just back all the way up to expanding your mind, thinking like an entrepreneur, and then listening for those problems, listening for complaints with the idea that you're going to see if you can turn them into products and services.
I love that. That's awesome. What a great principle. I think, it's funny because I just had a conversation with my partner, Ike Allen, a couple of nights ago, and we were talking about this exact thing. And I think it's important for everyone to realize too, that even if it could be a complaint of somebody else, but also it could be a complaint of yours, right? Yes. Like if you're like, I don't know how to do this, or I have a problem, I don't understand what the steps are to do X, Y, or Z, or whatever it is. We were just, having this conversation about what is actually the psychological glass ceiling. We were in this deep philosophical conversation, which we're often in, like, what is this thing that we call the psychological glass ceiling? And I was like, oh, I think we should create a product about this, right? It's
exactly. Exactly. That's how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Here's another thing. So I know that a lot of people especially in today's society, a lot of people are on a journey to financial freedom and they get stuck with thoughts like, well, the economy isn't where it needs to be for me to be successful, or I'm not happy with who is the leader of my country, or whatever. So there are a lot of thoughts and beliefs around this that I can't become successful because of something that's external happening outside of me. So can you speak to that?
Yeah. I hear that stuff out there in the world too. I've got a couple suggestions and an insight. The insight is underneath those observations is a victim consciousness. It is the idea that I can't succeed because of something outside of me. That is victim consciousness. And where we want to be is from an empowered state of consciousness. And that means that we look at reality and we go, it doesn't matter what's going on in any pockets of the world out there, because I'm going to create from my reality. I'm going to create from my empowered state of mind. And there are too numerous stories and case studies of people who are succeeding despite what all the media says is a horrible state of affairs. So there's too many case studies for us to go and shrug and go, hey, I can't succeed now because of the politics or whatever happens to be out there. That's bull. That's self-sabotage. That is the victim consciousness that we want to awaken from. I think life is all about awakening. And what we want to do is look within ourselves, tag into our personal power, connect to the universe's power, and then go out there exploding by following our passion and profiting from it. So the big tip that I want to give people is, let me put it this way. Why do people know or think they know that the economy is bad? The only reason they think they know is because somebody told them. Somebody told them, and more likely they're watching the mainstream news, the mainstream media. And so my big tip is turn it off. Turn it off. Quit listening to the mainstream news. They call it programming for a reason. It's not just television programming, and it's giving you whatever the education, entertainment, news, whatever they call news that's out there. That is all designed to program you. And they're all basing it on fear because they know fear is the hot button in the human psyche. We're all wired for self-survival. That's what the wiring is. So we're on alert for anything that's a threat to our living, to our survival. And so what we want to do is turn off the mainstream news. You want to be more aware and concerned about what you're allowing into your brain, what you're allowing into your ears, what you're allowing yourself to see, and actually choose the media that is more constructive. Actually, watching this series is one of the most brilliant things you can do. Watching this series is one of the most brilliant things you can do for an investment in yourself, an investment in your own programming. I'm going to tell you, back when just before I went homeless, I was in college at Kent State University. I found a photo 2 weeks ago of myself from 1974. I scared myself. I scared myself. I was dark. I was brooding. I had this force field around me of stay away, stay away, stay away, because I was afraid of life and afraid of everybody. And I remember a pseudo friend at the time said, oh, you're just naturally pessimistic. You're just naturally angry. And that's how you are. And today, nobody says that. Nobody thinks that, and I have a healthy lifestyle and cheerful lifestyle and all that. Yet I'm physically the same person who went through that in 74. What's different? What's different is what I fed my brain. What I was feeding myself in 74 is what the masses are feeding themselves. It's all of the news. It's all of the doom and gloom. And we had all of that kind of stuff and more in 1974 as we do during this period and this year. So it's not about the outer. It's about the inner you. Take care of you. Absorb all of this material from these 22 fantastic teachers and then change the inside of you. And it doesn't matter what's going on the outside. You can succeed and prosper no matter what.
Yes, you absolutely can. And yes, absolutely watch these sessions, watch them over and over again, because there's some amazing, amazing content in them. Read books like Joe's, watch movies like ours, do all of this stuff to feed yourself this really powerful, empowering information, right? What you're watching on TV, what you're watching in the mainstream media, is it empowering you, right? Is it leaving you feeling empowered to move forward in your business, in your career, in, creating financial freedom for yourself. So I think that's key. And, I have a nutrition background, so I often talk about, right, nutrition for your bank account, right? Having good nutrition for your bank account. We need good nutrition for our bodies and our bank account. And a lot of us don't have enough vitamin C, and that is confidence. So can you talk a little bit about, right, like how does confidence play into creating more money for ourselves, attracting financial freedom? Why is it important to be confident?
Well, I'm going to use the word faith. You want to have faith in yourself, faith in other people, and faith in the universe. I think underlying all of the things we're doing to attract more prosperity or abundance or cash, whatever it is that we're defining this as, is the idea that we believe in our capabilities. I have to admit that when people ask me how I got through homelessness and poverty, I would say there was this bottom line sense of I believed in myself. I think at times there was only a bare thread of it, but it was enough to keep me going, keep me riding, keep me moving forward. And I think actually what we want to do is believe in our dreams, believe in our capabilities, and take action because we believe in ourselves. We don't need anybody else to believe in us. It's nice if they do, but you want to create the inner cheerleader within you, because that'll give you the confidence, there's that vitamin C, to take the action that you need to take. It'll also give you the confidence to get through the days that might look like they're not working out, or the days where it might look like everything's on pause or everything's on slow-mo for you. But you have to understand that life is always moving forward. And a new principle to have in our head is that everything that's happening is moving us in the direction of our dreams. Everything. That's a new mindset to take on, but it also stems from having confidence that the universe has your back. The universe is watching you. Now, my new album is called The Great Something, and there's a title track song there. It's really talking about this idea that the great something, which is my phrase for the universe or for God. I've just created this, the great something, the kind of thing. The great something is watching over me. The great something has been watching over me, even when I was broke, even when I cried at night or cried when I was going to a job I didn't like. It was still there. It was taking me through these experiences for my own evolution, my own self-awakening, my own inner growth, causing me to reach for more of what I wanted. It was all working for my good. This is the attitude each of us has to have, which comes from belief in ourselves, confidence in ourselves, faith in ourselves. And I'm not talking about religious faith. I'm talking about the psychological faith that you can do what's needed to be done. It's belief in you.
It definitely is. I love it. I love that. That's awesome. So what about when people, I think a lot of people get stuck or stopped in their prosperity journey when they're telling themselves things that aren't true, right? They're actually not being honest with themselves. They might say something like, money is bad, or if I have money, I'll be greedy and no one will love me, or whatever it is. So what do you tell people who recognize they're telling themselves these things that aren't true?
Well, I go back to the old Bob Newhart comedy TV show where he was a psychiatrist and somebody came to him with a problem and he just kept saying, stop it, stop it, stop it, just stop it. I think the very first thing is to be aware that we're doing it, because that's the self-talk that'll stop us. And we want to have new self-talk. And I think, again, what this life is all about awakening. It's all about becoming more aware. So we want to become aware of the thoughts that are going on in our heads. One great thing to do is realize you're not your thoughts. You're not your thoughts. You have thoughts, but you're not your thoughts. This gives you a sense of separation so you can be more objective. And if a thought comes through that you don't have the skills to do something, you can look at it and go, well, that thought doesn't really serve me. I'm going to wait for the next thought. Or you create an inner cheerleader within you. And this is something I learned to do decades ago because I became aware of the inner critic. We all have an inner critic. And my inner critic was a Nazi. He was mean. But I was identifying with that little Nazi inner critic, and he would ruin my days. And I would just think, I'm not going to succeed. I'm not going to get anywhere, according to this guy in my head. Then, of course, through meditation, I realized, I'm not that guy in my head. I'm actually separate from him. I'm more of a spiritual witness to that. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, let me create a cheerleader. And so I've got a cheerleader in my head that says, You can do it. You can succeed. It might be today, it might be tomorrow, but you have to get out there and you have to do it. You can learn anything. You can be anything. The universe is watching your back. I believe in you. And so what you want to do is become aware of your thoughts. You're not your thoughts. The thoughts aren't serving you, or they're not realistic. And you can actually feel when they're not serving you because your energy drops. You just feel like, oh man, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything. It's your thoughts. Get the inner cheerleader there to pump you up, to rally you up, to do that cheerleading call for you. Listen to that, and then you're going to be able to go out there and succeed.
I think that's so powerful. I remember the first time I heard that statement that I am not my thoughts, and get it for everyone listening, like actually get it. Like, it's powerful. No, you're not your thoughts. And when you can, it's a powerful thing to get. It's a sense of freedom is what comes to me when I hear that and remind myself of that. It's like, oh, right. Thank goodness, because, they're saying all these fabulous, wonderful things to me all the time. So it's that inner critic that we can often identify with, but disidentifying with it is really the key, and just, being aware of it. So thank you for that. And Joe, is there any last insights you want to share? Any last tips or tools or techniques before we share with everybody how they can get to know your work more?
Well, thank you. There is so much to this topic. I mean, this has been very intense and very compact. There's a lot of information here that I want people to review and actually use. Make sure that you are reviewing it, thinking about it, meditating on it, but actually applying it. So there's a lot here to chew on, but there is so much more. And I think I would give one more tip, and it's the idea that by helping other people, you kind of find a loophole to be able to help yourself. You see, while people are still working on themselves, they often still have a sense of a lack of deservingness, because a lot of people still deal with issues, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not likable, I'm not lovable. But if they start helping other people, help other people to be prosperous, give to them, assist them in doing something, give a product, give a service, do something to help other people, in a sense, you're bringing up your own self-esteem. You're bringing up your own self-worth. And of course, you're giving and you're being generous and you're practicing gratitude. So these are all spiritual principles that affect you. But it's kind of like a backdoor way of increasing your prosperity is by helping other people increase theirs. So it's another mindset to have. But again, there's so much here that we don't have time to do it all.
That's right. And Joe, you are exactly what you're just talking about. My big experience of you over the years is that exactly what you're saying. You are such a generous person, and you've always given so much to me and Ike and Avaya, and we are so grateful for you. And thank you for setting that example for everybody, because Joe, you are the example of this, and what can come back to you in your life, and how you feel and how you be, and what happens outside of you when you are a giving person. And that is exactly who you are. So thank you, Joe.
Thank you. I got it. I feel
it. Get me all like teary. So everybody there, I want to let you know that there is a link below this video on this page, and it takes you over to Joe's special offer that he wants to tell you a little bit about. So Joe, what is it that you're offering everybody, and how can they learn more?
Yeah, it's my defining course, my home study course. It's an intensive package of CDs, a DVD, guidebook, and so forth. It's called The Secret to Attracting Money. And anybody who is serious about attracting money and they want to clean up everything inside of themselves in terms of their blocks to receiving money, because again, money doesn't have any blocks about you, you have blocks about money. So this course, The Secret to Attracting Money, goes in, gives you stories, gives you processes, gives you examples. I explode the myths around making money, the beliefs about making money. I walk you through different tools that are incredibly powerful, including one where you get to rewrite your story. Because too many of us have stories that feel like they're authentic. I had my own story about growing up and my parents arguing about money, and me getting the idea that there's not enough money in the world, money causes fights, money breaks up relationships, all of this kind of stuff. Well, that doesn't serve you today. You can rewrite that when you know how. So I have processes that I have used. I also have money-making techniques in there. I also talk about using and leveraging the internet, which I think is one of the best ways for anybody to make money anywhere, because everybody's got internet access, or they can get it by going to a library, going to a school, borrowing it, and so forth. So there's audio CDs, about 6 of them, I believe. There is a DVD of a presentation I gave on attracting money, which I'm told is pretty powerful all by itself. Then there's a guidebook so you can go along and work on these things yourselves. It's easy, it's effortless, it's fun, it's intense, it's inspiring, it's informative. It is my best single work on how to attract more money. So if that's what you want, the secret to attracting money is what you should get.
Thank you, Joe. That's awesome. And everything that comes out of Joe's mouth and all of his work, all of his books, all of his audios, all of his music, everything is just pure gold. So please, this is a really great opportunity for you to take a look at his work and actually get to work with him. So I highly recommend you click on the button below and check that out. So Joe, thank you. You are amazing, and it's been wonderful to have you and be in the internet space with you today. So thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. It's flattering to be here. You're doing great work. Godspeed to everybody involved. Believe in yourself, and as my shirt says, expect miracles.
Woo! Yes, expect miracles indeed. Thank you so much, Joe. And everybody listening, thanks for tuning into this really amazing session of the show. And that is a wrap for now. We'll see you again really soon, and let's build a fortune together.